What's going on, guys? It's Darren here with TNT, and today we have an install video for you of our new Jeep Gladiator Bed Rack from Trailrax. Now, we've teased you a little bit on Instagram about which rack we actually decided to go with, and we did go with the Trailrax Gullwing Bed Rack. So, this is a brand new rack made just for the Jeep Gladiator. We're going to do a full install video so you guys who buy them can install them just as easy as we're going to. Let's get to work. All right, guys, so we got all the pieces here laid out on the ground. So Trailrax advised us to build this on the ground, keep everything nice and loose. And then whenever we put it on the bed of the truck, get it level and flat, that's whenever we're gonna tighten everything up. That just makes sure that nothing gets kinked or messed up in the building process and the mounting process. And while we're sitting here talking about this, I'm gonna take a break from it real quick. If you see what I'm wearing, it's the TNT Overlander hat. We have a brand new website. Check the link below to it. We're gonna have this color, which is the white back with the gray front. And we're also gonna have some orange backs with gray fronts coming soon, as well as some awesome new decals. So give us a shout out, check out the website, and we'll go from there. So let's get to building this, and like I said, we're gonna start from the back, we're gonna go to the front, and we'll talk to you through the whole process along the way. So we have it laid out how it's gonna be put together. We're gonna step back here in a second and go to the back and work our way to the front. Now, a lot of this is being put together with a 7/16 ratchet, and we'll walk you through the tools later as we add more tools to it. I think there's 3 sets of sockets, or 3 sizes of sockets, excuse me, 3 wrenches, and an Allen key. So with that being said, we're just gonna grab this bag, we're gonna start putting this stuff together and go from there. So it's gonna be a little bit difficult filming this together on the ground, just because it's not gonna stay upright as much, just like we just saw right there. Line up the holes the best we can before we start adding screws to it, just so we don't mess anything up. That should be good. And I'm assuming for each screw that we're gonna put in, it's gonna be, or each bolt we're gonna put in, excuse me, it's gonna be a washer and a lock nut washer on the outside. Let's make sure it goes in. We're just gonna do it by hand for right now, and then we'll start tightening here in just a little bit. All right, so after getting that first support, I guess, beam put in for the rear support cross member, I did learn you have to go ahead and put the supports that go along the bed sides together with this as well, and it's pretty simple. I'll show you a close-up here in just a minute, but you get your screws into the actual, I guess, cross member, and then these actually slide behind the washer and lock washer with the bolt, and then you just tighten it down from there. Once again, we are only doing this hand tight right now, so that whenever we put it up there, there's no twists or anything, and it doesn't mess up whenever we mount it actually in the bed. So let's get this other one put together and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so if you can see, we got a couple pieces of wood back here just to level out the rear, I guess, beams that go down to the bed of the truck that connect to the cross members. Only because where they actually mount to the bed, it's kind of forward, and on the back, or on the front, excuse me, it's kind of backwards. And that just helps with mounting stuff to your actual rails that are in the bed of the truck. Now, as you saw earlier in a video, we installed the TerraFlex bed rail system. Definitely go look at that video. It's not the Mopar. I'll put the link right above. You can go watch that entire video, and this is what the TerraFlex system is what this bed rack is gonna mount to in the bed to hold it and keep it secure. So Morgan's gonna come help me with the next couple parts. We're just gotta get this center member on, and I'm just gonna need help holding on both sides. I think it's gonna be very helpful for her, and I'm thankful that she's gonna come help me and do this. So you wanna come over here and get to work? If you decide to do this on grass like we are, be careful, make sure you don't lose any of this. I don't know if there are any extras, so I guess we'll find out here in just a little bit. There are a lot of washers and nuts that are being used for this. So each support has a minimum of 4 and plus more whenever we get into the actual gull wing aspect of the rack. And that's gonna be interesting to put together, but we're gonna give it the best that we can. So I'm gonna lift this up. I'm gonna do the down member first, kind of like I did with that one. So just wanna hold it on the ground flat for me. Yep, and then we'll pick it up here in just a second. Some of these do have to be started with your ratchet, but number one, try not to strip them. Just make sure you get them started nice and straight and stop from there. We just barely put them in and then we'll go. That might just be a little bit to do with the manufacturing, only because it has the nuts built into the rack itself. This goes great with 2 people as long as one doesn't mess up, and I have a feeling that I'm gonna be the one that messes up a lot. So if you hear me get in trouble a few times, I'm sorry. And yes, that's on recording and gonna be on YouTube that I apologize to my wife, and she's probably gonna replay it over and over again. All right, guys, so that's 1, 2, third part to go, and then we're gonna start building on the sides. So I'm gonna put you on time lapse for just a minute while we do that part, and then we'll go into some detail and get you some close-ups of what these bolts actually look like as they go into the members, and then go from there. It is pretty easy if you work one side to the other as you're putting the next cross member on, and then the next. So that's how we're gonna do the next one as we did this one, and just go from there. So see you in just a minute. So we got the rack somewhat put together. It's nice and loose. Morgan's gonna help me lift it and put it on the bed of the truck so that we can go ahead and mount it before we actually mount the sides. And the sides are a little bit of a surprise if you don't know what a gull wing is. If you've already stopped the video, went and looked it up and saw the rack, you've already seen what it does, but this is why we bought this rack. It's for the next steps after getting it mounted to the truck. So, you ready to get it mounted? Yep. All right, let's do it. All right, so it's on the bed. We're gonna tighten it down to make sure it's secured to the bed. Or should we put the sides on first? What should we do? Go. Okay, either way, it's gonna be just as easy. But yeah, we'll do that. We'll connect it to the bed first, and then we'll go from there. So we're gonna put you guys in the bed with us so you can see how it actually mounts to the TerraFlex rail system. And after that, we'll get back out, go to the sides. All right, guys, so what Morgan is doing is putting the bolt through these holes in the mounting, I guess, platforms here that go on the bed of the truck. Now, it's kind of, if you have a Tacoma or a truck, you have this rail system. The Gladiator, some of them came with it, some of them didn't. Ours did not, so we added the TerraFlex rail system. It's a pretty good rail so far. I do like the ability with the anodized aluminum lock nuts right here. This is kind of a pain in the butt. You need little fingers. Morgan's hands are a little bit smaller than mine, so she's helping me do this because you got to reach behind the actual bracket right here to get the nut. Let me grab one for you. One of the nuts that come with this that Trailrax sent. So you actually put it in there and it kind of rolls on its own into place. I like it so far. It was pretty nice. So we're gonna get them all nice and loose on there, not super tight, and then we're gonna go make it sure it's level with the bed and tighten everything down and go from there. So thanks for helping with this, babe. You're better at it than I am. So let's get to work. All right, so now we officially have the rack mounted to the rail system in the bed. It's nice and snug, but it's not overly tight. We're gonna go at the very end, retighten everything down to make sure it's good to go and finish the install and head out. So our next step is gonna be mounting these hinges for the sides themselves. So this rack has gull wings, and what that means is there's 3 hinges on each side, and whenever you lift it up, it has the shocks that'll attach to the outside, and then it'll just lift it up. So whatever we mount on the outside or the inside will be able to be good to go and lift up, so that we can easily access the inside of the bed without having to climb up from the rear with the tailgate down. That's an awesome feature. Trailrax, you did a great job on that. You are the only rack on the market with this feature, and it's great. This is what led us to buying this rack. So let's get to installing the sides, and we'll walk you through the steps for it and go from there. All right guys, so we went ahead and did this side just to learn how to put all this together, to walk you through on the actual driver's side of the truck, step by step. So your finished product, you have a latch on the rear and a latch on the front, and then bam, it opens right up. In the center here, there's a little push lock. Push it in, latch it down, and you're good to go. So the cool thing about these latches is that they are adjustable. Open it up. You can adjust it right here with a tension nut. It's pretty easy. Grab a ratchet, grab some wrenches, tighten it down so it doesn't, whenever you're driving on the road, it doesn't make any noise. So if you notice any noise, make sure you tighten those down on yours. The hinges, they have 2 springs, or hydraulic hinges, I should say. Not really springs, but other than that, that was all we had to put together. The cool part about the actual side itself also is that it had pre-threaded inserts already in it. So we just had to put a washer or a nut on it, excuse me, because the bolt itself was already built into the side. Just like everything else we did, you know, putting the actual cross members and supports in, they had the nuts built in and you had to use the own bolt. But yeah, this company so far has done great on manufacturing, actually, to where you don't have to have a nut and bolt for every single one. That also allows, well, I can get it, for a clean look. Well, there we go. So let's take you to the driver's side, walk you through step by step how we installed it, and then we're gonna add a couple more cross members that we got extra for our tent, and we'll be good to roll out of here. So the first step that Morgan is working on is putting the hinge on the door itself. There's 3 of them, one on the front, one on the rear, one on the center. So we're just gonna mount each one of those with the provided hardware. So far, we've not had to worry about not having hardware. We've had hardware for just about everything. Well, everything, not just about. So, and this is step 1 of installing the sides of the door. And you can go ahead and tighten these down. There's nothing wrong with that. All we're gonna do is pick it up. It's really handy with 2 people, not just 1. Find the pre-threaded nut that's already in the bed rack. Get both of them going just a little bit so we can grab the ratchet and get the rest of them. get you set that ratchet down. Oh, there it is. Let's get this one started real quick. Same thing with installing the cross members and the supports. Sometimes you've got to use that ratchet just to get those threads started. Make sure you're, going at it straight so you don't end up cross threading or anything. And then you can use the ratchet itself to tighten it the rest of the way down. So after this step, once again, we're going to install the locking mechanisms. Once the locking mechanisms are installed, we're going to install the center support, and then we're going to install the actual shocks themselves so that it can control itself. You've got to be kidding me. I didn't even put any weight on that and it snapped. Well, as what just happened, you saw, I wasn't really over tightening it, but one of the screws did break in. So what we're gonna have to do is unthread that out at a later date. It's gonna have 2, 4, 5 in there. So be careful with doing that. I don't want to say it's on the hardware. Some hardware, isn't made the same as the rest, but might have just had a bad piece. Didn't tighten it more than anything else we've tightened so far, so you can see I'm being a little cautious now, but shouldn't really have to. It'll open up and close the same. It's just gonna look a little funny for a little bit. We should be able to grab a little at the rear and twist it out, I would think. Get a hold of it right there and twist it. Sweet. So I'm gonna grab some pliers, get that out real quick, and then we'll install a new one and go from there. So we finally got, I guess what was left of that nut out whenever it broke right there at the head. Sorry about the barking, there's a dog next door. But so with that bolt finally out, we're gonna be able to install this again. Nice and easy. Remember, be careful. It could have just been a bad bolt and didn't get heat treated as properly. So let's get it back to installing the center support, and then we'll be good to move on to the rest of the install. All right, so once you get that done, you're good to set your tools aside for just a few moments. We're gonna flip this up and let it rest right there while we install the center support. The center support's gonna be with just 2 bolts, one on each side. It's just a little support member right here. It'll mount right up top. We can get it to squeeze in, there we go. And as I was saying earlier, it's got pre-threaded bolts in now, so all we need are the nuts, and it mounts perfectly right there. So we're gonna get to installing that and then go from there. So there's 2 nuts that come with the hardware, and nut and bolt for right here. And the nuts that they provide for those are actually lock nuts. So once you get them nice and snug, they shouldn't back out no matter what the circumstance. But we'll still check them, like I said, in about 3,000 miles. So the next step that we're gonna do is install this onto here, excuse me, not the here, right up here, and good to go. Now, one thing I learned about locking these down, so you're just gonna need a little monkey wrench, and then the socket for the normal bolts that you would already have, which is the 7/16. You don't want to tighten these down too much. If you tighten them down too much, then the hinge is not going to work properly and it's going to grab a little bit. So get them snug, but don't over tighten them. To test if you've over tightened them or not, we might have on this one as well. Just want to do that right there, which is fine. Just working a couple kinks out. The other one did a couple times too. Then you're good to go. So next thing that we're going to install is going to be the latches, which are the Southco latches. Super easy to install these. Thought that they were going to be a lot harder. It's just one bolt. It's got a lock washer on the rear, on the inside. So these just slide in just like that. And then put the one bolt in the back side of it. Need to grab a small extension just to be able to tighten this down. And once again, just nice and snug. Doesn't have to be super tight. We're just gonna check and make sure this side works and then move to the next side. So it'll drop down, lock in, it does, locks up. So we got the other Southco lock. Like I said, these are super simple to install. The locks themselves, just like this. Let me open this up for you. Once you run it through and get it in, this will be at the top. So where it opens will be at the top, and then just mounts on the opposite side of the actual side of the rack itself. And then bolt just goes in, tighten it down. These are adjustable, so if it's, like we were talking on the other side, if it does rattle a little bit, open these up, tighten them down, a couple pairs of pliers should get you done, and back on the road nice and quietly. I tend to forget about the center latch. Probably gonna need to be tightened down just a little bit, and I actually installed this one backwards. So I gotta fix it real quick. I did this the first time that I was actually installing them, and it didn't latch at all. So if they don't latch, you just gotta flip the latch around and then reinstall it. Make sure it locks. Gotta open it first so it'll shut. Lock into place. The next thing that we're gonna do is install the hinges. The shocks, excuse me. Morgan's corrected me like 3 times. And those are pretty simple. I have them stuffed back here so I knew where they were. It does come with 2 per side, one for the front and one for the rear. The center, it only has this locking mechanism. It does not have anything else. No shock or anything. Step 1, right up top at the very top hole on the, I guess, facing the front of the truck. And then comes with a nut for them. Get that nut nice and snug. Now you'll have to have a pair of pliers here in just a minute. I'll show you. Oh, Morgan's handed me this piece. This piece right here mounts facing outwards, if I'm not mistaken, so that the shock will come up and mount. Yes, that is correct. It'll mount just like that. Whoop, that. So if you mount it the opposite way, it will not be able to close. So you want to make sure the shock is straight. Whenever you're talking about, or whatever we're talking about straight, we mean the ball is going to be on the outside, or facing the rear of the truck, excuse me, here. And on the outside of the actual side, it's going to be facing the front of the truck. That'll allow it to actually close in the gap that's provided. So, 2 of those little ones. Thank you, ma'am. Make sure those are the right size. I don't have the right socket. I think Morgan's getting a little hungry. Jumping in and helping me on that side. It's almost dinner time. We started this right at lunchtime, so not too bad of an install, right? Snug those down. On both sides. And now we're good to install our shock. Install that. That will go there with a second one. So go there. And then for this, you're just gonna need a pair of needle nose or normal pliers or a wrench. Needle nose work for us, just to hold the opposite side and be able to tighten this down. Now this, once again, is a lock nut as well, so it should stay on there pretty secure and not loosen up on us after a few miles. Get that nice and snug. We're just gonna test out these shocks real quick. They are pretty strong. Put some oomph into it. It does seem to want to lock. It's gonna open it up. And we're good to go. So we're gonna walk you through step by step here in just a minute, and show you some close-ups of the hinges and how we put it together. I'll talk to you through it a little bit. Mostly it's gonna be B-roll with some awesome music, so stand by. Welcome guys to the new TNT Overlander editing office. So here we're going to do some filming for you later on down the road, but we're showing it to you today because I did not film an outro after installing the bed rack on the new Jeep Gladiator that we got just a few months ago. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you get your bed rack installed with no problems. If you want to buy the bed rack, definitely check our link below. The office is pretty cool. We're featuring most of the stuff we use while off-road, such as our coast lighting, our Gerber tools, STANLEY cookware, Outer Limit Supply first aid kits and such, and we're going to be doing more filming in this office down the road. But if you enjoyed this install video, give it a thumbs up and comment below. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, ask us. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you want to see more like it, hit that subscribe button and come on our adventures with us. We can't wait to have you, because this fall, I guess winter is coming up. I want to say summer, but we missed that part. So fall, winter, and then 2022, we're going to be enjoying the Jeep Gladiator and the other Jeeps on the trail a lot more often. And we can't wait to bring you guys along with us. So we'll see you guys on the trail. Until next time.